Okay, so you've probably seen these around the whole internet. Every place is flooded with them and everybody's talking about them. And for $450, well, these better be special, right? Well, there's quite a few things you need to know, so let's get started. So these are the Sonos Ace, and they're the very first headphones that Sonos actually makes. Sonos is actually known for making premium speakers. Most of them are actually connected through Wi-Fi, I think almost all of them actually, so I know them quite well. And most of the speakers are pretty good. Some of them are a little bit overpriced in my opinion, but most of them do a great job. I went to a presentation in New York and the engineers from Sonos even told me they had a special coating on the paint so you can repel fingerprints. Check this out. And I think it's actually quite true. They do get a little bit smudgy after maybe quite a couple of days of usage, but not anything near as close as the Sony Marks M5, which you just look at them and they start smudging. So that is a nice touch, especially for a premium product like these. Another thing that's important to notice is the ear cups. They're actually pretty premium as well. The quality on the memory foam is excellent, they're pretty comfortable, and as well as the AirPods Max, well, they're actually magnetized, which is a nice touch. In case they end up breaking, in case they end up peeling off, you can actually replace them quite easy. They didn't actually say if they're gonna sell these cups. I hope they do. On the headphones themselves, you can actually find physical buttons, which is a nice touch. I am not a fan of touch-sensitive buttons, and depending on the climate conditions of where you live, touch-sensitive buttons can actually be inconvenient, especially if you live in a place where the weather can go below zero. I had an issue with the original Mark IIIs from Sony where the volume started pumping up by itself. And those headphones almost left me deaf, but thankfully nothing happened. And from that incident on, I actually prefer, well, physical buttons on my headphones. Nice touch. And the physical buttons on these are actually quite premium. You have a magnetic strip pushing them up and down towards the volume. That magnetic strip actually presses towards the center, which actually works as a pause and play. Nice touch. And it also has another special function which works with the ecosystem of Sonos. We're going to talk about that a little bit further along. You have a noise cancellation button and you also have your on and off button, which also works as a pairing button as well. So everything you need is right on them and not too much branding, quite slick, and they actually look pretty elegant in my opinion. Another thing that was actually inside the box that I wasn't actually expecting is a Type-C cable towards 3.5. Nice touch, which means you can actually connect these to anything that has a 3.5 jack, although they only have a USB Type-C port. So if you're into wired headphones or you run out of juice, well, you can still keep using these. But what makes them so expensive? I mean, these things you can also find in other headphones like the Mark Vs that are actually, I think, like $100 less than these, which is crazy. Same as the Bose Quiet Comfort. Even the Bose 700s, which I actually think that have been discontinued, and they actually have a couple of details which neither the Bose or the AirPods Max have. The Sonys do, but they do it differently. And what am I talking about? Well, actually Bluetooth codecs, which is pretty interesting. Sonos went through the trouble to actually giving you high-res definition codecs like Qualcomm aptX HD, which is a nice touch. I love that. So if you're an Android user, you're going to appreciate the quality on these. Very good. How they sound is a completely different story, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit further along as well. Comfortable wise, they're excellent. You can wear them during the whole day and have no issues. They're probably one of the most comfortable headphones I've ever worn in my life. I've had sessions about 8 hours. I wore them on a flight. I wore them on an office when I'm working, air conditioning, everything, and they work great. No issues comfortable wise. But let's go back to that tech. What is inside these that would actually make them expensive? Well, you do have sensors in the inside which can actually work for you putting them on and taking them off. If you take them off, it will actually pause the music. If you put them on as well, you can play the music. You can also decide what you can do with the ANC button. It will either start ANC, it will also use transparency mode, which is insane and works excellent, or you can also have everything completely off. I'm going to be completely honest with you. At first, the completely off option is off in the application by default. So the only way you can actually turn everything off on these headphones is going straight into the application. But once I enabled that, it was pretty funny because I was using ANC all the time. I couldn't tell the difference that much. especially in certain environments like where I'm right now, which is the studio, or in an office where the air conditioning is not that strong. I can't really tell when the ANC is on or off because these actually have passive noise isolation, which is excellent. They do isolate most of the surroundings without any issues or without having to use ANC, which will actually help you save a lot of battery life. Because if you use these continuously with ANC, you're gonna get about 30 hours. If you turn it off, you might get a little bit more, 40 hours. So the more, the merrier. And if you don't need ANC, well, mine will turn it off. But if you do use ANC, like going into a plane where you can actually hear the turbine, there you can really hear it. It is extraordinary. The ANC on these things is insane. And it's probably one of the best I have ever heard. It's probably in the top with the Mark V's from Sony. I do think the Bose Quiet Comforts are a little bit low besides the Sonys and these. So I would put in first place these and the Sonys, and maybe third place the AirPods Max, which I would never recommend for the price and the technology compared to other headphones in the market. But Qualcomm aptics sensors are not the only special things you can actually find in these headphones. They do something that no other pair does in the market. And what is that? What do these headphones do that any others can do? Well, they do connect to the ecosystem of Sonos, but not like you would think. These headphones don't have Wi-Fi inside them. They only connect through Bluetooth, and they connect straight to the sound bars, which means if you live maybe in an apartment with your roommates, with your wife, with your kids, and everybody goes to bed, and you're a night owl like I am, and you still want to keep hearing your television, you still want to keep watching your shows, but you still want that surround sound, or you don't want to blow up your ears, I'm not going to judge you. Well, you can do that with these. You can actually link them into the app and just switch seamlessly between the soundbar and these. The switching is incredible. You actually put them on, and there was a point where I would switch between the soundbar and these when it had ambient mode on, and I couldn't tell if I was switching or not. It's that good. They are compatible with Dolby Atmos, and they do have head tracking as well. So it's actually a sweet spot where you do get that surround sound, you get that high quality you're getting from the soundbar, but without annoying anybody else. The downside to this is you can only use it in a personal way. You can't connect two of these at the same time. You can only use one pair. So if you were thinking about maybe giving a pair to your wife while your kid's sleeping, you can't do that. Only one person can connect to the soundbar, and well, if you paid for them, might as well be you. Now, the sound quality. What's the sound quality on this? Well, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I thought these were going to be a little bit flatter. I know Sonos is actually targeting towards a little bit more audiophile crowds, but they're not completely audiophile because they're pretty mainstream. So I would have thought this would be maybe a little bit flat, leaning towards the bass. But no, you actually have pretty bright highs. You have a little bit of a muddy mids, which you can actually correct inside the application. And you have pretty punchy bass. It's not an extreme bass. It's not made for bass hits, but it does go very well when you have the highs on. And as soon as you equalize them in the application, well, I think you can get a very good and decent sound out of these bad boys. I actually like the sound quite a lot. It's pretty detailed, and depending on what phone you're using, you also get a different sound quality. If you're using Android, I think that's the best experience. The codecs from Qualcomm aptics do make a difference. But if you're using an iPhone, the difference isn't actually that big for these to actually be a deal breaker. I would actually still rock these with my iPhone, no issues whatsoever. I'm just saying Android sounds better. Now, the elephant in the room. Would you actually pay $450 for these bad boys? I do think they are a premium pair of headphones. They work great. The sound quality is up to the price, at least in the price range towards the other headphones that compete against these. I love the fact that these don't smudge. There are small details on them that actually make them different to other headphones in the market. And I've tried so many and so long that I can actually appreciate that. But I do know that not everybody's going to need that, and not everybody's going to appreciate it as well. There is one simple thing I don't like about these headphones, and that I would definitely change, aside from the price, because I do think the price is a little bit high. The case. The case on these actually sucks. It's terrible. It's actually peeling on the side. You can tell right here, it's got like a bald spot. And if anybody knows bald spots, well, it's actually me, right? So you can tell these are actually appealing, and it's, yeah, a case made from recycled materials, but when you're paying $450, I do think you need something premium, like maybe velour, maybe vegan leather, if that's what you want to call it. There is a nice detail with this small case that stashes the cables, which has a magnet inside. Pretty cool. I mean, nice touch. But the case itself is something I don't like, and I do see myself changing if I see third parties or aftermarkets making it for these headphones. I would buy it definitely. I do not like that case whatsoever. But there is an advantage towards it, and that is that the case actually makes the packaging quite slim. These are very easy to take around. There's also another detail about these headphones I actually don't like, and it's the fact that when I'm wearing them, I can't put them downwards. If you wear them the right way, they always have to push upwards. I don't like that position. I love having my headphones this way, and that would have been such an easy fix, like just making them be able to swivel both ways would have gone a long way towards comfortability, especially when you're in a flight and you just want to rest them for a bit. This is such an easy position. I mean, it's not a big deal. You can actually just twist them around and end up putting them this way, but it's something I would have liked for $450 headphones. What do you guys think? Would you guys buy these? They have one of the best ANCs I've ever tried, excellent audio quality, special features like you can actually connect to your own soundbar if you have a Sonos soundbar. You have an application where you can actually link them. You can personalize one of the buttons. The buttons are pretty premium. They don't smudge. Although if you're gonna choose a color, I would actually go for white. Those don't smudge whatsoever. The blacks after a while might get a couple of smudges and just clean them off and they'll be good for a couple of days. But still, the whites are spotless and I love that color. But I don't know, I might go for these, especially if I would be thinking about buying AirPods Max. Those headphones don't have half the features these do, don't even have the same battery life, and I do think these actually sound better than the Apple headphones. But the Sonys and the Bose do give you a great value because they're cheaper than these. So drop a comment below. Which pair of premium headphones would you guys buy? I don't know. I kind of see myself with the Sonos just because I have the ecosystem. I think I am going to use that feature. My girlfriend sometimes says I'm too loud at night, and not in the good way.